give us help from trouble, for vain is the help of man. Through God we shall do valiantly, for he it is that shall tread down our enemies.
Well, I hope you are all recovering and excited about the major surgical operation the TARIFFS has done. That's the way it was portrayed, and we are in for a ride of a lifetime. I wanted to show everyone how many Anons are working to get the information out, showing that many things, especially the Dems who used to love the TARIFFS years ago, but only one Democrat who converted to Republican, Trump, made it happen. It's so good. We've got so much to cover. So many folks were fired and so much action taken and big moves on the comm boards and more, folks. It's going to be awesome. Here we go. I wanted to remind you, July 13th through the 20th, 2025, we're going to be on a cruise ship in Alaska all together, navigating truth, hope, faith, and freedom. It's going to be a blast as we hang out together. You see the number of folks, that's what you're going to be with. You're going to be with fellow patriots. Folks that understand how you felt over these years, understand the celebration that will occur. Laura Logan's going to be there. It's going to be exciting to have her on board. You get a chance to meet her. Tim Lovelace, also amazing comedian who brings tears and laughter all together. We love him. He's just a true brother in Christ. Nathan Rutledge is going to be providing our messages, biblical messages in the morning. If you're looking at your screen, we'll have meet and greet time. That's me standing there with folks waiting in line. The lines are going to be a lot shorter this time, not because of less people, but we're trying to work it where you're having a blast. You get a chance to meet with me, and we're doing all we can to make sure that we have time together when you arrive. And so, again, hope you guys check it out. We're looking forward to seeing most of you there.
And those tariffs have come in, and every country's called us. That's the beauty of what we do. We put ourselves in the driver's seat. If we would have asked some of these countries, almost most of these countries, to do us a favor, they would have said no. Now they'll do anything for us. But we have tariffs, they've been set, and it's going to make our country very rich.
But are you open to deals with these countries if they're calling you?
Well, it depends. If somebody said that we're going to give you something that's so phenomenal, as long as they're giving us something that's good. For instance, with TikTok as an example, we have a situation with TikTok where China will probably say, we'll approve a deal, but will you do something on the tariff? The tariffs give us great power to negotiate. Always have. I've used them very well in the first administration, as you saw, but now we're taking it to a whole new level because it's a worldwide situation.
Worldwide situation. Tariffs are working. Negotiations are going to take place. It's going to be absolutely amazing. And I don't know if you guys saw this, but the drop from President Trump at 1607. President Trump participated in the Make America Wealthy Again event. He dropped that 407. What do we hear? Did you find the exchange 2 days ago regarding the White House executive order today? We listened. Feel proud. That's a straight announcement to all of us. Again, telling you how these boards actually work, and that's why we're excited about them. Also, another board that was exciting was the tariff board. You know, we shared this yesterday, and it was amazing to see how President Trump showed grace and mercy. That's what I call it. Basically, 50% of the tariffs there seems like on some of the countries, like European Union, and they're getting us at 39%. We're only going to get them at 20%. Yet they're going to complain. They're going to say that President Trump is a danger to society and more. As a matter of fact, I think that did happen. Let me see. Oh, yes, I found it. Here it is. Ursula von der Leyen calls Trump's universal tariffs a major blow to the world economy.
President Trump's announcement of universal tariffs on the whole world, including the European Union, is a major blow to the world economy. I deeply regret this choice. Let's be clear-eyed about the immense consequences. The global economy will massively suffer. Uncertainty will spiral and trigger the rise of further protectionism. The consequences will be dire for millions of people around the globe, also for the most vulnerable countries, which are now subject to some of the highest U.S. tariffs. The opposite of what...
Amazing. The highest U.S. tariffs. No, look what America's doing to us. This is terrible. How could they do such a thing? The European Union. 39% tariffs to the USA. What are we doing? 20%. This is terrible. It's terrible. It's going to ruin us. All the global New World Order plans are going to end. The child trafficking that's been funded is going to end.
What we wanted to achieve. The tariffs will also hurt consumers around the world. It will be felt immediately. The costs of doing
business... It will help hurt consumers. All those people paying $10 for a box of cereal from America and other countries, they're going to be hurting. Now they have to pay even more. These folks are just causing so much problems for us. How could they? Oh my goodness, I'm so sick and tired of it. They are so stupid. The operation is over, says President Trump. The patient lived and is healing. The prognosis is that the patient will be far stronger, bigger, better, and more resilient than ever before. Make America great again. He's talking about us. We went through a major surgery, and all's going to be fine. No matter how much they try to scare everyone, we're going to be all right. So, of course, when he does this, Trump sued over China tariffs. President Trump sued Thursday over the 20% tariffs. Oh, my goodness, he imposed on Chinese goods in the weeks leading up to Wednesday's broader announcement. It marks the first known legal challenge against Trump's tariffs. Got to be kidding me. The lawsuit contests Trump's use of the International Emergency Economic Powers Act of 1977. You know, I saw this video of this guy, and he's not a Trump supporter, but somehow he figured out how to explain these tariffs in a common sense manner when it comes to things like China.
So do you want to know the part that they're not telling you about tariffs? Here's the reality that nobody's talking about. Nobody. This lighter costs $25 in America to buy an American-made product, okay? China makes one, sells it for $20 here in America. Out of that $20, $5 goes to whoever in America sells it. $15 of it goes back to China. You buy the $25 one in America, all $25 stays in America. So now we want to say, let's balance this out, and we're going to put a 50% tariff on Chinese goods. Now this lighter costs $30 to sell in the United States. Now you have the U.S. made one at $25. It is cheaper. It's more expensive in the big picture, I get it. But it's now cheaper, so people are going to buy the American made one. 100% of the $25 that you spend stays in America. Stays here. The demand increases for that business has to hire employees. When many businesses hire employees, that creates a supply shortage of employees, which make wages go up. Is this more expensive for the consumer in the short term? Yes, but you're getting a better product. You're getting a better product for your money, and the money is staying local. Okay, you're not funding these other countries and their businesses. That is the purpose behind all of this. Will we have a recession? Yes. Will prices go up in the short term? Yes. But the lagging effect is all of that money now stays here with us. It's not leaving the country, which gives us more money in the United States to go around for everybody. Of course, every nation in the world is going to say, we're being bad neighbors and bad business partners. Well, of course, we've made them rich.
That's right. Come on. Come on.
And now we as a people are suffering. We want our money back. Why is that so hard? It's not ideal, but it works and it makes sense. And I'm not a pro-Trumper at all, but I believe in it. I'm a business owner. I know how it works.
Oh, yeah. That amazing guy's not even a Trump supporter. And he's sitting there making videos to let folks to know how this is all waking out. Hold on. Trust it. It's going to work.
I think it's going very well. It was an operation, like when a patient gets operated on, and it's a big thing. I said this would exactly be the way it is. We have $6 or $7 trillion coming into our country, and we've never seen anything like it. The markets are going to boom, the stock is going to boom, the country is going to boom, and the rest of the world wants to see, is there any way they can make a deal? They've taken advantage of us for many, many years. For many years, we've been at the wrong side of the ball, and I'll tell you what, I think it's going to be unbelievable. The thing that people have to talk about, we're up almost to $7 trillion of investment coming into our country, and you'll see how it's going to turn out. Our country's going to boom.
Our country's going to boom. He said boom. Where have you heard that before? Oh, yeah, we had this one. Trump gives us 4 booms. The markets boom, stocks boom, country boom, upcoming delays with 4 booms. Kellyanne lose 17, boom, 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 boom. We've seen that on drop 1170 on the Q board. April 17th, 2018 is when it was posted, and who knows if that April 17th could come up and we start talking about the boom. Somebody else pointed this out right here, 3 booms in a row. Then DJT holds up a number 3. Did he point at us? Something's happening. Message received. Booms en route. Interesting, right? Because you look at the different ones here. Did they get the shot? I pointed directly at it 3 times. I turned and double pointed just to be clear. Did they pick up the boom, boom, boom? Something is happening. Yes, Mr. President. Anons are actively tracking message received. Good. That's good. Booms en route. Blind 5-5 green. We've seen the green. Looked at Twitter. Exactly, my fellow Americans. The storm is coming upon us. Absolutely amazing. When you look at this and you see him pointing his finger and you go, I wonder if he's pointing to us. You ready?
I think it's going to be unbelievable. The thing that people have to talk about.
Is he pointing? Is he pointing? Just maybe. Anyway, we enjoy stuff like this. It's so cool. I'm going to show you where these Democrats like Pelosi, Bernie Sanders, even Obama was out there talking about how much they love the tariffs. So amazing. Here we go. If you're still tossing and turning all night and feeling edgy during the day, well, let me tell you about CBD from CB Distillery. Millions are turning into their CBD for relief because it works. In fact, 90% of customers report better sleep with CBD. It's not just sleep. CB Distillery offers targeted formulations for just about everything: sleep, stress, mood, and focus, pain after exercise. They even have CBD for pets. It's made with the highest quality clean ingredients, no fillers, just premium CBD. I have one that I use for my back pain, especially in playing golf. If you're struggling, just head over to CB Distillery in the description box below. At limited time, you get 25% off your entire purchase. Visit CB Distillery and use promo code LT. That's cbdistillery.com, promo code LT. So, 1996, Nancy Pelosi encourages all of Congress to back reciprocal tariffs.
How far does China have to go? How much more repression? How big a trade deficit and loss of jobs for the American worker? And how much more dangerous proliferation has to exist before members of this House of Representatives will say, I will not endorse the status quo? As I mentioned, it's about jobs, proliferation, and human rights. And there are those who say we shouldn't link human rights and trade and proliferation in trade. I disagree. But if we just want to take up this issue on the basis of economics alone, indeed, China should not receive most favored nation status for several reasons that I'd like to go into now. I'd like to call the attention of our colleagues to this chart on the status quo that the business community is asking each and every one of us to endorse today. Right now, we have a $34 billion trade deficit with China, the 1995 figure. It will be over $40 billion for 1996. Since the Tiananmen Square massacre, this figure has increased 1,000%, from $3.5 billion then to about $34 billion now. In terms of tariffs, I think it's interesting to note that the average U.S. MFN tariff on Chinese goods coming into the United States is 2%, whereas the average Chinese MFN tariff on U.S. goods going into China is 35%. Is that reciprocal? On exports,
Come on.
China only allows certain industries into China, of U.S. Industries into China.
All right, enough of her. I've heard her voice enough. Just, more proof. It's in the description box below if you want to grab that and send it to all of your liberal friends. They'll probably love that. Bernie Sanders.
Further, what they have said is that we need to not worry about manufacturing in America because what we should establish is a policy of unfettered free trade. We don't need tariffs. What we need is to allow corporate America the freedom to throw American workers out on the street, people who are making 15, 20, 25 bucks an hour, healthcare, pensions, throw them out on the street because somehow, Madam President, we are going to create wealth in America and good paying jobs in America as we shut down plants. We move to China, corporations there pay workers 20, 30 cents an hour, and we bring the product back into this country. And anyone who goes shopping in a mall knows how difficult it is today to find the product made in America. But that
2008. Let's see, Obama, 2018.
When it comes to the international system of commerce and trade, it's legitimate for poorer countries to continue to seek access to wealthier markets. And by the way, wealthier markets, that's not the big problem that you're having. A small African country is sending you tea and flowers. That's not your biggest economic challenge. It's also proper for advanced economies like the United States to insist on reciprocity from nations like China that are no longer solely poor countries, to make sure that they're providing access to their markets and that they stop taking intellectual property and hacking our servers.
Obama. Who would ever thought? Here's President Trump.
What would you do differently?
1988.
Donald.
I'd make our allies, forgetting about the enemies you can't talk to so easily. I'd make our allies pay their fair share. We're a debtor nation. Something's going to happen over the next number of years with this country, because you can't keep going on losing $200 billion, and yet we let Japan come in and dump everything right into our markets and everything. It's not free trade. If you ever go to Japan right now and try to sell something, forget about it, Oprah. Just forget about it. It's almost impossible. They don't have laws against it. They just make it impossible. They come over here, they sell their cars, their VCRs, they knock the hell out of our companies. And, hey, I have tremendous respect for the Japanese people. I mean, you can respect somebody that's beating the hell out of you, but they are beating the hell out of this country. Kuwait, they live like kings. The poorest person in Kuwait, they live like kings. And yet they're not paying. We make it possible for them to sell their oil. Why aren't they paying us 25% of what they're making? It's a joke.
Amen.
This sounds like political presidential talk to me, and I know people have talked to you about whether or not you want to run. Would you ever?
Probably not. But I do get tired of seeing the country ripped off.
Why would you not?
I just don't think I really have the inclination to do it. I love what I'm doing. I really like it.
Also, it doesn't pay as well.
No, it doesn't. But, I just probably wouldn't do it, Oprah. I probably wouldn't, but I do get tired of seeing what's happening with this country. And if it got so bad, I would never want to rule it out totally, because I
wouldn't rule it out totally. And thank goodness he didn't. Kind of reminds me of how we're playing this out. We're watching every single person excited about this in his cabinet, those that are working for him, with these messages, and we need this even more. Here's Vice President Vance.
But we care the most about American workers and about American small businesses, and they're the ones who are really going to benefit from these policies. Think about how many factories we've seen close down. Since NAFTA in the early 90s, 90,000 American factories have been closed down. That's small towns that have been blighted. That's millions of workers who have lost their jobs. That has to stop.
And that's your wheelhouse.
President Trump, that is my wheelhouse.
That's where you're from.
In a town where you had 10,000 great American steel workers, and my town was one of the lucky ones. Now probably has 1,500 steel workers in that factory because you had economic policies that rewarded shipping our jobs to China instead of investing in American workers. And that's what President Trump, he ran on changing it, he promised he would change it, and now he has. And I think Americans are going to reap the benefits. But we care the most.
Oh, yeah. Just love it. Just love it. The messaging is spot on. We've got some more here.
Commerce, Howard Lutnick. All right, Secretary, I mean, you've known Trump for a very long time. Have you seen this movie before?
Well, this is his movie that he's been talking about for 35 years. He said, we've been ripped off. You can go find video of him from 1988 on Oprah talking about how we're being ripped off. He finally gets to stand up for American workers, stand up for America, bring the factories back home, and get rid of this national emergency called our trade deficit, which is outrageous.
Now, we're not going to have all factories come back. Like clothing manufacturing, that's tough to bring back. But what kind of manufacturing are you talking about returning here?
Well, you can't just give that away. See, what's going to happen is robotics are going to replace the cheap labor that we've seen all across the world. I mean, think of what our factories did. They went to the cheapest labor in the whole world, slave labor, cheap labor, the worst environmental conditions, polluting the heck out of it. And then we bring back those cheap products here and we feel good about ourselves because we don't see the pain. But the pain is in our workers. The American workers have been given the raw deal. And what's going to happen now is we're going to build factories and we're going to train and we're going to have trade craft. We're going to do the greatest set of training ever. And our high school educated people, they're going to train to do robotics mechanics. It's kind of like a supercharged BMW mechanic, you know?
Amazing. He's on fire. And, you know, all this is playing out just like President Trump. They're going to come to the negotiation table, and that's why he's tough. Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese said his country is ready to negotiate with the Trump administration to remove the tariffs. How do these tariff things work? I like these clips that are put out on TikTok by Butterfly Geo. Check this out.
Breaking news. Canada, Europe, and China all tried to fight back against Trump's tariffs, but what happened next shocked everyone. Let's break it down. First, Canada imposed a 25% surcharge on energy exports from Ontario to the U.S., trying to pressure Trump. But Trump didn't back down. He threatened to double tariffs on Canadian steel and aluminum. The result? Canada quickly retracted their surcharge. Next, the EU stepped up, warning they'd impose tariffs on billions of dollars worth of American goods. Trump fired back with a bold threat. He warned he might end America's costly military support for Europe. The EU was left scrambling. Then came China. They tried to bypass Trump's tariffs, which were designed to protect U.S. manufacturing, by buying American companies like Milwaukee Tool, a brand over 60% of Americans still believe is U.S.-owned. Trump responded by signing a memorandum to restrict Chinese investments in sensitive U.S. assets. Now, he's considering providing tariff relief to actual American manufacturers. In the end, Trump's hardball tactics left the world stunned. Canada, Europe, and China all tried to push back, but Trump doubled down every time.
He sure did. And that doubling down paid off. He knows. They don't have what it takes to fight back. The question no Democrat can answer: if tariffs are so bad for an economy, why do 170 countries have tariffs on U.S. products? Perhaps try using critical thinking skills instead of anti-Trump rhetoric. Nayib Bukele said El Salvador president, to meet with President Trump on April 14th, 2025. They've agreed to take in America's thugs and violent criminals. Will they both be prepping for the inevitable? Will Congress members that didn't commit treason but did commit bad crimes or received kickbacks, will they end up in El Salvador prison? I'm just hoping bad politicians get put away in the public eye now, as many others want. Washington Compost, they're freaking out that they've lost all their sources at NSA. That's right. The NSA director was fired. Trump on Doge, they found something today that's horrible. You'll find out very soon. What they found is incredible. He said that on the aircraft in the beginning of this broadcast. Tim Howe and Wendy Noble, two bureaucrats who had strained understanding of the chain of command, resisted efforts to focus on countering the threat of narcotics. Glad to see that they have been removed. And you know, it's amazing. President Trump, when he comes in with a bang. Check this out. On Marine One. If you're looking at your screen, that's his golf course, folks. And he just, can you imagine? Yeah, just land on my golf course and I'll have my guys pick me up. And the guy's struggling just to hold on there. It's pretty cool. And then all of the guys head out to greet the president. And he gets his first-class limo service on the golf carts. Really, really cool. You know, King Charles, speaking of kings being brought in, like President Trump, to me, the king, right, of America. That's the way I look at it. Anyway, King Charles is being advised to step down from the throne due to health issues. You got to be kidding me. Kind of reminds me of the board, right? A lot of you are thinking now you've got these boards figured out on 4281, objective and checkmate king. Do you attack the king at the beginning of the game? Do you attack and remove pawns first? Do you attack and remove bishops, rooks, knights next? Do you attack and remove queen mid to end? Interesting. How do you set the stage board regarding the public opinion and optics at this time? Just love it. You know, we're getting into Homeland Security and all of the border issues and more. Vice President Vance talks about that. And then, of course, we have an amazing illustration from Caroline Levin on some of the terrible things that are happening to Americans affected by those illegal immigrants coming across the border. I'll share that with you in a second. Folks, you can start your journey to sober living with a faith-based program featuring brain restoration formula from the New Spring Wellness Center.
Because you see people at their worst time going through different things in their lives, whether it's relationships, whether it's finances, whatever it is. But when they come out of that, there's no better feeling.
Addiction recovery takes more than just time. It takes energy, clarity, and hope. And no matter how broken you feel, healing is possible. And there's a way to restore your brain, your body, and your spirit. At New Spring Wellness, your brain restoration program addresses the physiological changes in the brain caused by substance use, aging, and chronic stress.
It literally, those cravings for me, it was a constant. Every second I was awake, I would wake up in the morning, okay, what do I need to get done today till I can go get my alcohol? And it got to the point where I started drinking earlier and earlier, and to where it just controlled my life.
Their brain restoration protocol reduces cravings, supports mental clarity, and restores energy, giving you the strength to take back control. At New Spring Wellness, they approach recovery with both a medical and faith-based approach. Through Jesus Christ, they find hope, redemption, and the strength to overcome. With brain restoration and faith in Him, you can step into a new beginning. Your past does not define you. Through Christ, all things are made new. Give them a call at 573-577-3400 or go in the description box below to newspringwellnesscenter.com/and we know. Start your journey to sober living today.
We do not ask permission from far-left Democrats before we deport illegal immigrants. We do the American people's business. And again, for the American people who are watching, this is such a weird, mistaken placement of priorities. We need to make our country stronger. We need to create jobs. We need to make our streets safer. What is it about congressional Democrats that get more angry at deporting violent gang members than they do at the victims of those violent gang members? I don't even understand where they're coming from. They've gone off the deep end and they got to come back to reality.
Coming back to reality, right? But what are they planning to do? Oh, the House Democrats, they're going to visit the border. They're going to visit the border to conduct oversight of Trump admin border policies. It says Americans won't forget how Dems turned a blind eye to border under Biden. the chairman of Homeland GOP, blasting these Democrats for their visit. Quote, it's no coincidence that committee Democrats are choosing to visit the border after President Trump cleaned up the mess created by the Biden administration. The American people will not forget how congressional Democrats turned a blind eye as their own party created the worst border crisis in United States history. When the committee held a field hearing in 2023 in Pharr, Texas, no Democrat members attended. My counterpart, Mr. Thompson, even repeatedly called hearings about the border crisis a waste of time, Green said, while the visit tomorrow comes years too late. I'm grateful Democrats will be drawing attention to the law and order that the Trump administration has and will continue to restore. They will have the opportunity to witness the rising morale of our CBP personnel who now have the needed support to do their jobs. It's clearly what's this easy to end the crises. And so Democrats just didn't want to. And so a question was asked of the press secretary about all of this, and she had to read out the crimes of these illegals. Here we go.
But a judge ordered that he should remain in this country. So are you saying that it is okay to ignore a judge's ruling if you don't like it?
So the judge said, you know what? This guy should remain in the country. He's here illegally. So don't you think that since the judge said this, you should listen?
Who does that judge work for?
He's an immigration
It was an
judge.
immigration judge who works for the Department of Justice at the direction of the Attorney General of the United States, whose name is Pam Bondi, who has committed to eradicating MS-13 from our nation's interior. And let me tell you why we've made this commitment. MS-13, may I remind each and every one of you, is a brutal and vicious gang. They raped and strangled a 20-year-old autistic woman to death in Maryland. They hacked 4 people to death with machetes in a park on Long Island. They have kidnapped, sexually tortured, and shot a teenage girl in Texas after she insulted them, allegedly. Killed and mutilated a 17-year-old girl in Virginia, stabbing him 16 times and cutting off his hands. They beheaded and cut out the heart of a man in Washington, D.C., They raped and murdered a 13-year-old girl in California. They sex trafficked a slew of young girls, including one who was just 12 years old. Raped an 11-year-old girl in Brooklyn while her brother was in the room. Sex trafficked a 13-year-old in Maryland and Virginia, miles away from this White House, even beating her 26 times on her backside with a baseball bat. Pressured homeless New Yorkers to undergo unnecessary surgeries such as spinal fusion in order to bolster their fraudulent lawsuits. These are vicious criminals.
How in the world can any mainstream media outlet support such a thing? How much do you have to get paid to hate this country so much that you're going to ask stupid questions as if you've got gotcha questions for the president and what he's doing to make this country safer? House Republicans, GOP, the Trump effect, America is safer, and they're showing you a chart. Illegal aliens released into the United States. January 20th, 2024 to April 1st, 2024, 184,241. January 2025 to April 1st, 2025, 9 under President Trump. The source, U.S. Border Czar Tom Homan. Musk will remain a friend and an advisor to Trump after leaving Doge. That's from Vice President Vance. He said this in his interview. He has said Musk is leading the efforts of the Doge, right, to shrink the size and scope of the federal government, but his special government employee status will expire at the end of May. Vance made it clear that Musk will not exit President Trump's orbit since he leaves his official government role. Once he leaves his role, of course, he says, he is going to continue being an advisor. And by the way, the work of Doge is not even close to done. The work of Elon is not even close to done, Vance told Fox and Friends. Doge has got a lot of work to do. And yeah, that work is going to continue after Elon leaves. Vance continued, but fundamentally, Elon is going to remain a friend and an advisor of both me and the president. And he's done a lot of good things. People don't realize how vast and uncontrolled the bureaucracy was. We've started to chip away at it, but there's a lot of work to do. It's not going to happen all in 6 months. It's going to take a long and committed effort. And here's one of the findings we mentioned before, but it's put together well. Here we go.
Y'all remember when the United States Institute for Peace managed to delay for one day Doge coming in to investigate them? Well, we recently discovered what they did during that 24 hours. Well, the very first thing they did was delete an entire terabyte of data that linked them to payments to not only Taliban leaders, not only Iraqi leaders, but also leadership from Al-Qaeda. Now, thankfully, those kids that Doge has working for them, yeah, they're a little bit better with technology than the people at the Institute for Peace. And they were able to recover 99.9% of the data. So now we have a record of the United States Institute for Peace funding those 3 terrorist organizations. With your money. They also found that the management of the United States Institute for Peace, they were funneling money into a little slush fund they had. A fund that was mainly used for private events and private air travel. Can't have these people flying commercial. No, they were booking private planes. And to make sure this money avoided as much congressional oversight as possible, even though they had a full staff of accountants in the building, they were paying a private accountant $2.2 million to handle the outside money. And coincidentally, that accountant happened to be married to one of the board members.
Oh my goodness, the exposure is phenomenal. Of course, heading out to social media, getting this information out is absolutely perfect. I'm so glad to see this playing out day after day, man. It's been exciting. Another one was President Trump on that aircraft holding up the Trump card. Do you really think anyone can afford to pay $5 million? I think the card is something else altogether, says Fletch17. And I think they do. I think there's folks with a lot of money in other countries that would have the $5 million. But anyway, there seems to be speculation on the Trump card. He holds it up. You're looking at the screen here. It could be something else altogether, like Fletch17 says. We'll see. But I tell you, that Trump card, at what stage in the game do you play the Trump card? Is that what he did when he held it up there? Let's see. Trump card coming. This is released March 3rd, 2019, and also April 20th, 2018, about the Trump card coming. And that could be very well what we're seeing playing out. The booms, the Trump card, and so much more, causing fear in so many people's lives. Exposure continues. And I saw this one from James O'Keefe. He tried to confront an NIH official caught on hidden camera saying they're manipulating data to lie to Doge to get us taxpayer funds, to get the U.S. taxpayer-funded grants. He took off running.
I'm James O'Keefe. You work with the NIH. This is you on camera. I heard you had a really bad day. You're about to have a worse day. This is you on camera talking about giving information to people, taking out the word race. You remember this?
Like yesterday, I was approving a protocol to figure out what to suggest that she use. I had suggested like ethnicity or ancestry instead of race.
Isn't that deceitful?
You just get out of my way.
Yeah, I'm out of your way. Isn't that deceitful what you did, sir? To lie?
I don't know what I didn't lie.
You're on video. Changing the words? But you did lie.
I absolutely.
You said changing the words from race to ancestry. Why would you change the words? Why would you? But you would change the words. Isn't that deceitful, sir?
Absolutely not.
It's not a matter of scientific accuracy, though.
Absolutely it was.
How so?
It was. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yes, you do. You're on video. You do know what I'm talking about. We're here with the guy inside the NIH who's driving away in his Tesla. Listen, you work for the government. Sir, you're avoiding accountability by changing the words from race to ancestry.
Interesting, right? You keep sitting there running after this car. You'd think the guy would just take off and say, I don't want to talk about it anymore. But anyway, more of that. I love seeing this play out when the exposure happens. The witch hunt against Marine Le Pen is another example of European leftists using lawfare to silence free speech, says President Trump, and censor their political opponent. This time going so far as to put that opponent in prison. It is the same playbook that was used against me by a group of lunatics and losers like Norm Eisen, Andrew Weissman, and Lisa Monaco. They spent the last 9 years thinking of nothing else, and they failed because the people of the United States realized that they were only corrupt lawyers and politicians. I don't know Marine Le Pen, but do appreciate how hard she worked for so many years. She suffered losses, but kept on going, and now, just before what would be a big victory, capital letters, they get her on a minor charge that she probably knew nothing about. Sounds like a bookkeeping error to me. It is all so bad for France and the great French people. No matter what side they are on, free Marine Le Pen. I'm sure he's not going to say this about the World Economic Forum. Founder Klaus Schwab is informed that the board will be resigning. Per Reuters, did President Trump come out and say, I don't think that Klaus Schwab, my great friend, should... he didn't say anything. Another massive blow to globalism thanks to President Trump. Schwab was he's been on a warpath against the United States and conservatives for 5 decades, but his reign is now coming to an end. Good riddance. Of course, we talked about the NSA director and his deputy, Wendy Noble, fired, right? Holdovers from the Biden regime, deep state actors removed. The Texas House Education Committee just passed a universal school choice bill. The vote was 9-6. All Republicans voted in favor. All Democrats voted against. It now goes to the floor. It already passed the Senate 19-12. It's happening, Texas. It's happening. What else is happening? Well, these reactions to the tariffs brings good news on the business side.
We were waiting to confirm this directly with General Motors, and now we have. And you tell me if this is already a sign that things are happening in President Trump's favor. A General Motors spokesperson is now confirming there was a webcast to employees a short time ago. GM will be making operational adjustments at its Fort Wayne assembly, including hiring temporary employees to support current manufacturing and business needs. We continuously update and revise production schedules as part of our standard process of evaluating and aligning to manage vehicle inventory. This after initially Reuters was reporting on that webcast that they're going to be adding overtime hours for their employees, and they're going to be bringing some of that. They're going to be increasing the production of their light duty trucks at that American facility.
Oh, yeah. So good. Folks are getting excited. You know, I tell you, I love to see people go on social media, use their voice, and tell people what's going on. And this is really good from TikTok. Here we go.
Donald Trump is going to go down as one of the greatest presidents of all times. Mark my words. Today is officially Liberation Day, and the liberals are losing it. Now, let's keep in mind that U.S. tariffs was the greatest source of revenue for the U.S. government before federal income tax. And Trump is truly just trying to take us back to those times. And call me crazy, but I can't see why any American would be upset with this. When you look at the breakdown of the numbers, we have been getting robbed for so long. A lot of people fail to realize that Donald Trump is a businessman first and a politician second. And although many people may not agree with his decision, me personally, I'm going to trust the process because I trust my president. This man has not even been in the White House for 400 days yet, and he has done a fantastic job, in my opinion. So y'all can say what y'all want, but I am so looking forward to him making America great again, making America wealthy again, making America healthy again. Like I said before, y'all, welcome to the golden age.
Yes, more good stuff. You know, we've got a great interview that we just put together. It's going to be going out Sunday. The tariffs equal even playing field negotiation tool is what Dr. Kurt Elliott actually brought up, because you notice that these tariffs put together in such a way that they're not going the same tit for tat, right? They're saying, hey, we're going to do 50% on a lot of these of what they're doing to us, and 10% across the board. But he feels it's a negotiation tool, and great things are coming. It's not going to be perfect. Things are going to get rocky, but he also brings up silver and gold and how they've been playing around with the markets, how they're manipulated also, kind of moved around. So I want you to check this out, just a quick clip, and look forward to this
stock
Sunday.
market, like what we said was going to happen.
Right.
They're selling their growth assets to basically mitigate some of their losses, right?
Okay.
Because they have shareholders they need to respond to.
Mm-hmm.
So don't look at gold and silver coming down right after Liberation Day as like, oh my word, the trend changed. No, it didn't.
That's
it was,
right.
I believe it's going to be very brief, knee-jerk reaction, people having to sell something that has a profit to pay off their bad debts and use it as an opportunity to allocate more into a huge, strong bull market. Because so what didn't happen on Liberation Day is, they didn't get all kinds of supply all of a sudden.
Right.
The demand didn't go down all of a sudden.
Amazing. You guys don't want to miss it. AndWeKnow.com/gold. If you don't want to wait till Sunday, give them a call. They'll pray with you, talk it through, and they'll tell you how to work with your precious metals. Man, great things are going on there. Hope you guys check it out. Trump administration set to pause $510 million for Brown University. That's right. They're blocking it. Federal contracts and grants for Brown University expanding its campaign to hold universities accountable for what it says is relentless anti-Semitism on campus, according to 2 White House officials. Brown became the 5th university known to face a potentially dire loss of federal funding, leaving other universities that the administration is targeted wondering when their turn might come. If they pause this, $510 million, even over a period of years, the consequences for Brown could be significant. In its 2024 fiscal year, Brown received about $184 million through federal grants and contracts. President Trump from Ultra MAGA Dean Erickson had a Truth Social video out, 37 seconds of Paul and Christy Okoye coming home after being freed from prison in Cancun since March 4th, and has a timestamp of 10:37 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's 22:37 military time. Interesting, because the 37, if it's 37-second video edited perfectly for 37, we read on the board, they are the true patriots. We will never forget. Let these coming days be remembered in our history as the time we fought to recapture the republic from those evil, bad actors who for so long have sacrificed the good people of this land for their own personal gain. Fight the good fight. Let justice be served. And then 10:37 p.m. released. You'll see this, and we talked about this earlier about the booms, and we're reminded from President Trump, the booms en route. Blind, 5-5, green with a bunch of letters and numbers, and then you have the letter Q. That is amazing how this continues to play out for all of us, for all of mankind. This entire earth is going to be affected by one man with his leadership working together to save this country. It's going to be phenomenal. I can tell you everything that we're hearing, all that this is going to do is going to have a positive effect. But first, we had to go through major surgery. And you guys that have had surgery know how that, you know how it feels. When you get in there, you're nervous, you walk in, you're like, man, then they put you to sleep, and next thing you know, you wake up and you're feeling kind of drowsy, you can barely, people want to talk to you and hug you and everything, and next thing you know, you start feeling some pain, and all of a sudden they give you some pain medication to get through, and the next thing you know, you might be walking, and then hopefully you can use the bathroom. You don't want them to do anything to you because you can't. That happened to me. And the next thing you know, you're recovering, and you walk out, and then you do some physical therapy for a while. Before you know it, you're up and running again. That's what we're going through. Very painful. He knew it. He knew it. But in the end, it's all going to play out just fine. And I wanted to play this clip before we close. Stephen Miller. Check it out.
All of that industry was ripped apart by our elites, shipped to foreign countries, and then they sent us the bill. They said, you have to protect Korea, you have to protect Europe, you have to protect Canada, you have to protect Japan. We won't take your cars, we won't take your agriculture, we'll take away your steel industry, your aluminum industry, your copper industry, your electronics industry. All of the national industries that you need to be secure and successful as a country. So what President Trump is saying is, these are the injustices you have to remedy. This isn't just about moving around some lines on a ledger. This is about remedying the systemic injustice that says the streets of America are filled with European cars and Japanese cars, but the streets of Europe and Japan have no American cars. This is about saying that the American steel industry, which once built and sustained the modern world and is now a former husk of itself, coming back now thanks to Trump's tariffs, all of that manufacturing.
Absolutely brilliant. Love how Stephen Miller's filled with passion. You know, the other day when we did our live, I started getting into a rant. And I feel like that when you're talking to somebody. We had a great talk with Lance, and I tell you, he's a patriot too. And I hope you guys go and check that video out. I really do. We had a live Q&A session, and it was April 2nd, and didn't see very many people joining in like we normally do with our lives. But I tell you what, the conversation was amazing. And we get fired up when we start realizing what they did to our country, the money that they were stealing from us, the jobs they were stealing, steel industry and more. And man, after being stationed in Japan and Germany, government service and Marine Corps, just shocked at how many vehicles you see out there, right? They're all over the roads, but there are hardly any American vehicles at all. I was like, what's going on? Yet our country's filled with their cars. How terrible that they have mistreated our country, and they've taken advantage of us. And you know what? Just like President Trump said, they were smart about it. It's not that they're not our friends. It's just that they enjoyed taking advantage of us because our politicians allowed them to do it. The evil one allowed them to do it. And we've had enough. We've had enough of this game that they played against us. And I'm hoping that when this is all said and done and adjusted, we'll finally watch everything fall into place, the arrests come, and the exposure of all the liars and everything that they've done throughout the years. At what stage in the game do you play the trump card? Q.
For nothing is secret that shall not be made manifest, neither anything hid that shall not be known and come abroad.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, thank you. Thank you again for your just great love towards mankind. You sent your only begotten Son, that whoever believeth in him shall not perish but have everlasting life. Out of all the things that we've experienced and we go through, the one lasting thing that we can say as believers is we've got peace. Peace like a river, overflowing. Such wonder, such great times to be alive, biblical times of waking up and realizing how powerful your word is to us when we read it. The stories are coming to life. Even now, we're understanding how you operate through leadership. So phenomenal. How great a Heavenly Father we have. You deserve all the praise and honor and glory for everything that you've done to help out mankind. We ask that you continue to guide and direct our nation to the truth of your word. May we be plentiful again and be able to be used to use our resources and the things that will be presented to America. May it be used to send missionaries out once again around this earth to share your word, as the enemy's trying so hard to send their missionaries out to destroy us. We look forward to victory again with you. We ask for continued protection for President Trump again, every single second of every day, and his family, and all of those on the front lines risking their lives. We ask all this in the name of your Son, Yeshua, Jesus Christ. Amen and amen. Folks, thank you for tuning in. Hope you have a great weekend. Again, we have so much going on. We hope to exactly get it out exactly the way that most people would like. And thanks to your prayers and your support, especially of all of the folks who are partners, it has been absolutely wonderful. And just a great team. And you guys are just so good to us. For now, this is LT saying Semper Fi with them we know, signing out.
For vain is the help of man. Through God we shall do valiantly. For he it is that shall tread down our enemies.